Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Varen and I'm extremely excited for this very special video today. And we are in my journal and we're working with tarot and astrology to create a healing personal affirmation poem that is specific to me, which you can do on your own if you'd like to. I got this idea when I started working more with the extended Gentle Tarot Guidebook, which I've talked about a lot on this channel. It's by Maurizio Rice Aparicio Tovar, the creator of the Gentle Tarot. It is a phenomenal guidebook, and I am not exaggerating when I say I use this book all the time. I use it if I want to read more about my daily tarot card pull with a healing aspect. And recently I've started working a lot with the affirmations that come with it. Each tarot card in the entire deck has an affirmation, and I've talked about in previous videos starting to work with these. When I pulled my year ahead spread is when I got this idea from talking with a beautiful client and friend of mine. You know who you are. I love you. Thank you. I wanted to incorporate this stunning healing guidebook resource, and that's when I got the idea of using the affirmations. So I've used these affirmations with my monthly year ahead spread work, which I'll link some videos up above in the cards. You can check out a bit more. And most recently, I've started taking that affirmation and using it on my phone. So I take that affirmation that corresponds with my monthly card each month, and I create a little screen, lock screen, which I'll insert what February's looks like, and there's what January's looks like, and I put them on my phone. The concept being that when I go to unlock my phone and I see the affirmation, it's to encourage me to say it out loud, so that way I'm using the affirmation in an active healing manner, as a healing kind of balm for my monthly cards. And then once I've said the affirmation out loud, then I unlock my phone. That's the concept. And this is the concept that gave birth to this idea. Another thing you will have heard me talk about if you've been here before, or may have, is working with the decan wheel. I did a whole video about the decan wheel. It's linked up above in the cards, so you can check that out. The decan wheel is basically a resource that's been created where they break down the astrology wheel so that way each of the minor arcana cards have a placement that represents them. So they take the signs and they break it into the 30 degrees of each sign into 3 separate 10-degree sections, and they correspond them with a card. And there's lots of details on it. Check out that video. And I've wanted to work with my decan placements, my associated tarot cards, for a while in some kind of a healing manner. And so magically the ideas kind of came together and brought you this, me creating my personal healing affirmation poem. So what I did is I went in and I picked out which placements on my chart that I wanted to use and include in this. And I am a professional astrologer. You can check out my website, link down below in the description box, and stay tuned because there's more astrology stuff coming. So I went through my chart and I decided, what did I want to include? I ended up going with the number 9 because that's a really significant number to me. You could do more, you could do less, whatever floats your fancy. So I wanted to make sure I had 9 tarot cards. And some of the tarot cards represent more than one thing in my chart because there's more than one thing in that position. So I have a card for my rising sign, my Chiron, and my south node. Those are all the same card. So I included those, my moon sign, my sun in midheaven. They are also the same card. I included my Mars, my Mercury, my Venus, my Jupiter, my Saturn, and my north node. I keep messing up those words. Those are the things I wanted to work with. And the idea of this is that with using these cards and this poem, I can maybe bring some healing energy to myself as a whole or to myself in specific aspects, depending on what's going on in my life. So I went ahead, I pulled out all of the corresponding cards. You need your birth chart. I believe it has to be a whole sign house birth chart to the best of my knowledge, because that's the only way the houses and signs line up evenly. And otherwise it might get a bit confusing and convoluted. So this is for like a whole sign birth chart. So I went through and I set up this page and I alternated the glyphs, because what I want to be able to do with this is when I'm feeling like I need to just kind of hold some space for myself in healing, in that kind of gentle feeling and light that I get when I read the Gentle Tarot Guidebook, I want to be able to come into this page and I have a whole poem. It is an affirmation poem dedicated to me, created based on my intrinsic personal energy, based on my birth chart. So I want to be able to come in and read through the whole poem. The other thing, though, was that I wanted to be able to look at the affirmations as their separate individual pieces within the poem if I was feeling like I really needed some healing for more specific things. With that in mind, when I was plotting out this page, I had to make sure that I could look at it as one poem so that all the affirmations were lined up. But I also needed to make sure that I had ways to tell which affirmation belonged to which placement so I could look at the individuals if I needed to. So, for example, if Mercury in the sky currently, if at some point when Mercury is moving through Libra, I'm having trouble communicating because my Mercury is opposite, it's in Aries, complicated astrology stuff. If I'm having trouble with communicating and I need to work on some healing energy for my communication, I can open to this page, I can look for the Mercury glyph, I can read out loud the affirmation, and I could take it so much further than that if I wanted to. I could, based on this affirmation, I could grab a couple crystals. I could make it a whole witchy magical event. It all depends on what I want at the time. And this is the kind of thing I really love to do. I love to create something that is very simple, that's a very simple container that can be embellished, that can be expanded upon when I want to, and when I have the energy to sustain that expansion. So setting it up, I went back and forth alternating because I just kind of wanted that look, but I included the glyphs for each decan card. So the top left of the page underneath the title, ASC stands for ascendant sign. The one that looks like a key is Chiron. Then the other one underneath that, that's the south node. So I have a glyph for each one, so that way I can visually quickly find what I'm looking for. And then on the opposite side of whatever the glyph was, I wrote what that affirmation would be about healing. So I wrote healing my, and then I picked out some of my favorite keywords for the planets. So, and this sounds really complicated. I hope I'm explaining this well. Please, if you are at all interested or intrigued, please go check out that decan video, because I was much, I was doing it as I was filming that video. So that's more live. But so Mercury, which I'm writing the affirmation for now, I look at my chart. Mercury is in the last 10 degrees of Aries, because the last 10 degrees of Aries is associated with the Four of Wands. Therefore, my decan card for my Mercury placement is the Four of Wands. So I went into the book, I looked at the Four of Wands affirmation, and I wrote it down. It's today I celebrate my beautiful beating heart. Just to give you a little taste of the gorgeous glory that is Mari's writing. So I wrote the keywords. So for Mercury, I wrote it's about healing my communication or thinking. For Venus, it's about healing my love, aesthetics, luxury, and creativity. And I did that for all of them as another quick reference point for me to be able to look at and say, okay, I am struggling with feeling aligned with my identity. Where on this page do I find the word identity? Okay, healing my identity, it's under the sun and under my rising sign. So I can write about those. I can read, not write, silly me. I can read both of those affirmations out loud to myself a few times. I did also make sure to include on the page the reference, just a quick writing of what the card is specifically, so that way I know and I have it written down. When I created this idea, I definitely wanted to include all my personal planets in astrology and the luminaries. The luminaries being the sun and the moon, the personal planets being Mercury, Venus, and Mars. Jupiter and Saturn are the social planets. I did decide that I wanted to include them. But even just doing this for your big three, your rising sign, your sun sign, your moon sign, that's amazing. And as I said, I'm a professional astrologer, and I'm planning to try my hand at doing some more astrology content specifically, not to replace all the content I create, but to do more of what I really love. And so if you stay tuned, there will hopefully be some more videos about that very, very soon. I'm actually planning to film one later today after I do this voiceover. Something I really love about this idea is the leaning into my journal, not just as a bullet journal, but also as a grimoire. Or more accurately to my descriptions, as a book of shadows. Because for me, a book of shadows is the book that, to me, a book of shadows is the book that, like, is current, it's following you on your path, whereas a grimoire is like the final. So when you're doing a spell for the first time, it would go in your book of shadows, and once you've determined, yes, this is a spell I like that I plan to revisit, that would go in your grimoire. That's how I understand the delineations between the two. Ooh, yay, I'm adding color now. Sorry, I just looked up at my own video, and I really like this beautiful light sagey green kind of color. Minty green. I really like how my journal has been evolving, and how I've been really just kind of putting my heart and soul into it more. And there's been a lot of changes. A lot has happened through January and into this month, February, of me learning and shifting perspectives and gaining understanding about myself that I didn't have, which has allowed me to completely change my idea about how I want to use my bullet journal, because this is a bullet journal as well, how I want to use it to support me in my life. There's been some understanding of how, while the journal was great and helpful for this specific thing, it was also causing me harm the way I was using it in this specific way. And so I've been realigning that, and I'm excited because I think now it's going to allow more space for this journal to be a beautiful creative thing as well. And now I have this beautiful affirmation poem to go with it. I did decide to just add some pencil crayon outlines to the glyphs, and then other than that, I had the minty green I used to highlight the healing my words so I can find them nice and easily. And then when I was writing out the affirmations, I ended up handwriting, like putting in cursive, the last word of each affirmation, and those I'm going to come in and put in on yellow, which I quite like how it all turned out and how it all came together. I'm really quite pleased with it. I hope you've been enjoying this kind of video. Doing things in this format is newer and more unusual for me. And I hope that I explained things well and that you got something out of it. Before the ending of this video just runs away from me, I want to tell you about some things you can check out that I do. In the description box, I do have my website. As I mentioned, I'm a professional astrologer. I'm also a tarot reader, and I like to combine the two. And I do have some astrology services as well. There's going to be more coming and some shifts happening, but those things will take time. In the meantime, you can check out my website down below. If you have any questions or are unclear about anything, my email is also in the description box. A newer thing in the description box is a link to my Patreon. I have launched a Patreon for creating written resources, downloadable PDF kind of resources with like newsletters and astrology predictions and tarot spreads. So There's a newsletter that goes out with every full moon, every new moon, every time the sun changes seasons. So there's about to be one for the sun moving into Pisces season, which happens in 5 days. I think it's 5 days. It's written down. I don't have my calendar in front of my face. I have the video. So there's going to be one of those. There's an extended newsletter, and there is a tier for my YouTube channel members. This is a specialty tier because I wanted my channel members to be able to join if they wanted to without having to pay for like a whole other thing. So if you are a channel member or you're wanting to become a channel member, the link is also for that in the description box. You can do both and have everything without it being an exorbitant cost. But I also really liked the idea of creating written resources. So for those who might want to support or be a part of some of the other work that I do that don't necessarily have the time for extra videos and extra lives, the written resources might be more accessible and sustainable for their time in their life. So that's linked, and like I mentioned, the YouTube channel membership link is there as well. I am so excited that I finally got to finish this video and get it up for you. And I truly hope that you like it and that you find it interesting or thought-provoking or anything. And I would love to hear about your thoughts in the comments down below. If you had an area of your life that you really feels could use some healing, like communication or your identity or love or your reputation or your drive, if you had an area in your life like that needs that, consider letting us know in the comments down below, and maybe I will respond and tell you what planet to look at in your chart or to research. Get you going in a helpful direction. But that's it. I've finished the lines on the page and it is all done. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up to let me know if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already and hit that bell notification. Thank you for joining me. Lots of love. Bye.